Welcome back to the Gore Guide, where we're on a journey to compile the definitive list of gore and splatter films. Today we'll be taking a look at Psycho Goreman. Not, as I've heard a lot of people say, Psycho Goreman. He's an intergalactic destroyer of worlds, people, not the local baker. It's Spider-Man, not Spider-Man, and this is Psycho Goreman. Psycho Goreman is a 2020 film written and directed by Steven Kostanski, starring Matthew Ninneber, Nita Josie Hanna, and Adam Brooks. Steven Kostanski is of course known for his work with the creative collective Astron 6, with whom he made Manborg and Father's Day, but he may actually be better known for co-directing 2016's The Void, which wasn't released through that group. Psycho Goreman isn't released through Astron 6 either, but it does include various members of it, and it's closer in tone to Manborg than it is to the much more serious The Void. As with most films that were due to be released in 2020, Psycho Goreman got pushed back several times until it finally saw the light of day just a few days ago. I remember when I first saw the trailer for this film, it seems such a long time ago now, but my initial reaction was, that looks fucking awesome, and I think a little bit of pee came out. It's currently available to watch on VOD, with physical releases due to be released in March. But has it been worth the wait? Well, let's take a look and find out. After winning a game of Crazy Ball, Mimi decides her prize is to bury her brother alive. While he's digging his own grave, he uncovers a mysterious glowing artifact, which Mimi soon claims for herself. During the night, a mysterious being emerges from the grave, and the following evening, the two siblings follow the trail and come face to face with the Archduke of Nightmares.
Is that fear I smell? How sweet.
An alien being who was imprisoned on Earth and is intent on destroying the universe. But he didn't figure on encountering Mimi, an angry, aggressive, dominating young girl who now possesses the gem that can command his every move.
Stop messing around and explain, scum.
Dubbing him Psycho Goreman, or PG for short, she proceeds to use him for her own amusement. Meanwhile, the Gygax Council, a group of aliens intent on protecting the universe, decide they have to stop PG once and for all. The battle of evil versus worse evil is on. If that's okay with Mimi, that is.
Well, it was nice meeting you.
It would be nicer if you were dead.
Alright, bye.
Psycho Goreman is pretty much everything I wanted from a film as a young teen growing up in the early 90s. The creatures, the costumes, the violence, the humour. Almost everything in PG is very nostalgic to me, and probably to anybody else that grew up in that era. And that's the point. You can tell that Kostanski put his whole heart into making this film, and he's basically made a film for his childhood self. There are similarities to Power Rangers,
Come and meet your doom!
the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film,
Whoops!
Masters of the Universe, and the second Guyver film. It's a kids film that isn't technically for kids. Even the abbreviation of Psycho Goreman's name alludes to that. PG is plastered over all of the artwork and posters, making it look like that's the rating of the film. If you ever sneakily watched a film as a kid that you shouldn't have been watching and thought it was the best thing you've ever seen, that's what Psycho Goreman is. I hope that it finds the same success with this generations of kids, but I think it's going to be more successful with adults reliving their childhood memories. For the most part, the effects really reflect Kostanski's love of practical effects. And while this does cover the gore, the main standout of the film is the various alien beings. The creatures are unique and imaginative, and the costume design is amazing. The Gygax Council, Alistair, the Paladin Obsidian, and of course PG himself, who looks a little bit like the Creeper from the Jeepers Creepers films. All of the creatures look fantastic. One standout for me is the cop that follows PG and the siblings around after he's been mutated. He's basically the character from BioCop. fake trailer made by Kostansky, which was released at the same time as Manborg.
Oh, Jesus Christ! You got some kind of death wish by cop?
I could not stop laughing at him. He's not in it for very long, which is a shame, but also probably a good thing for me anyway, because I missed a lot of what was going on the screen when he was there, because I was laughing so much.
Feel complete.
And that brings me to the comedy of Psycho Goreman. Sometimes these kind of films can be too self-aware and think that they're a lot funnier than they actually are, but PG is hilarious. One of the main factors that the comedy works so well is that the film doesn't take itself seriously at all.
I do not care for hunky boys. Or do I?
Adam Brooks has some great moments as the lazy father, and the back and forth between Mimi and PG is brilliant. The fact that one of them is violent and full of hate and wants to kill everyone and destroy everything in the universe, and the other one is an alien, works perfectly. But again, the stars of the show are the creatures. Most of them don't even have to say anything. Just the way that they look and the way that they compose themselves provides the film with some of the funniest moments. Bioman, Alistair and Tube Man being the most obvious examples. As I just mentioned, the interplay between the two main characters is fantastic, and that might not have been the case with different actors. Matthew Ninneber is great as PG, but the film revolves around newcomer Nita Josie Hannah, and she does an amazing job. As long as she doesn't get typecast as an annoying little brat, she should go on to have a pretty successful career. One thing that might divide opinion about Psycho Goreman is the ending. I won't give you any spoilers, but I will say that a lot of people might find it a bit of a downer. Most of the characters are selfish and self-centered throughout the whole film, and there's no real character development. Nobody really seems to learn anything in the end. But I liked it. It doesn't wrap everything up in a nice package with a pretty little bow. It stays true to the rest of the film and ends in a spiteful and selfish way.
Wait, what about telling him not to kill everybody else on the planet?
Oh yeah. Oops.
Showing us that most people just care about themselves and that as long as they're okay, everyone else can go fuck themselves. Unfortunately, I, and probably many other people, had high hopes for Psycho Goreman that, in reality, would have been difficult for anybody really to achieve. On repeated views or when some time has passed, I may feel differently about some of these cons, but for now, there are a few things that really didn't quite hit the mark. The first one being the amount of gore. I love the other elements that Kostansky used, but for a film called Psycho Goreman and the impression that the trailer gave, I was expecting a lot more. As I mentioned earlier, the main focus of the film is nostalgia. And while for the most part it works, occasionally I feel like it works against the film. It sometimes seems a bit forced and comes across like they're trying too hard. It goes off the path occasionally and the pacing slows right down, particularly in the third act. But the main problem about revolving a film entirely around nostalgia is it really limits your audience. Psycho Goreman is aimed at a very specific demographic, and its meta style might alienate a lot of other people. Another thing that might alienate people is the main character. I mentioned earlier how good Nita Josie Hannah is in the role, and she's great. But the character she plays is horrible.
Kill him, please.
No, please!
Some people might like her spunky attitude and the fact that she does what she wants and she doesn't care if you like it or not. But there's a difference between being feisty and standing up for your morals and just being downright nasty. She feels like the villain of the film, which I assume is the point, but it doesn't help the viewer connect with her. As an adult, it's difficult enough to relate to a child in a main role, so it mostly comes down to how the role is written, and sibling rivalry and family feuds are all well and good, but the vicious and spiteful way she treats her brother is off-putting. In fact, the whole family drama dynamic isn't great. The parents don't get enough screen time together for us to understand or care about their problems, and the brother is too much of a victim to warrant any empathy. And finally, I was a bit disappointed with the final showdown. I was expecting a lot more, and to be honest, it felt a little bit anticlimactic. I wanted more action. I wanted more aliens. I wanted more something. The whole film was building up to PG getting his freedom and getting his powers back, and then it just kind of fizzled out. Like Brewer's Droop on a one-night stand. It's disappointing for everyone involved.
Who are you? Let me show you, law dealer.
My favourite kill in Psycho Goreman is when a kid yells,
Nice Halloween costume!
and then he just blows the kid up while he's eating his ice cream. While Psycho Goreman certainly has his fair share of graphic moments, it's nowhere near as gory as the title suggests. Some of the costumes look a little bit rubbery and the CGI is purposefully bad, but the costume designs are amazing. So Psycho Goreman gets 3 out of 5 for amount of blood and 3.5 out of 5 for quality of effects. A family film where every character is spiteful, vicious and heartless, and the titular character wants to destroy everyone and everything in the universe doesn't exactly sound like a barrel of laughs, but PG certainly delivers on this front. I had a smile on my face almost the entire film, and I laughed out loud more times than I can remember. It is a very funny film. Unfortunately, the more dramatic moments are less effective and the characters are not very likable. But that's not what this film is about. Like I said, it's about nostalgia, and this film delivers that in spades. It isn't a film that everyone's going to like or even understand. Some people might not appreciate the slightly rubbery looking costumes, and it might not find an audience with today's kids who have the attention span of a gnat. But those of us that do get it will love it. It's going to be a lot of people's top film for this year, and that's a bold statement considering it's still so early in the year, but it's that type of film. It's destined for cult status. So Psycho Goreman gets 4 out of 5 stars. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on Psycho Goreman, or if you have any requests for future videos. Join me next time when we'll be diving back into the Wrong Turn franchise and taking a look at Wrong Turn 3 Left for Dead. There's a link to the trailer in the description below, along with a link to my list of films on Letterboxd. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe and click on the bell to keep up to date with new content. Thanks for watching, and until next video, have a bloody good time. Join me next time when we'll be taking a look at my nipples.